Some DuPage buyers are making a mistake right now that feels incredibly responsible. They're waiting for the perfect house, the perfect rate, the perfect price, the perfect timing. And sometimes waiting is smart, but sometimes waiting becomes the reason you could miss out on a home that would actually have worked. That's what I want to talk to you about today. Not because buyers should rush, not because every home is a good home, and definitely not because you should ignore your budget or overlook real problems, but because there's a big difference between being careful and being stuck. In this market, that difference matters. I'm John McLean with John Green Realtor, and I help buyers and sellers all throughout DuPage and the surrounding areas. Let's get into it. The market hasn't stopped. According to the National Association of Realtors, existing home sales increased in May, and inventory is healthier than it was in most competitive years. That doesn't mean that buying is easy. It means that buyers are still active, but they're being more selective. And that's an important distinction. Realtor.com reported pending sales rose again in May. So buyers are not gone, but buyers are responding more strongly when the home, the price, and the payment all make sense together. That's where this gets tricky. Because when the payment's uncomfortable, buyers naturally become more cautious. And they should. A home's not just a purchase price. Buyers are looking at price, taxes, interest rates, HOA fees, maintenance, and insurance, and factoring the true cost of a home. That's not overthinking, that's being responsible. But the problem starts when caution turns into a moving target. First, the price has to be perfect, then the kitchen, then the tax has to be perfect, and the rate has to be perfect, and the timing, and eventually, no home can survive that test. Rates are a part of this. Freddie Mac had the 30-year fixed interest rate at 6.52% as of June 11th. So yes, payments matter. A buyer today may feel differently about a home than a buyer felt a few years ago, and that's completely understandable. But a higher rate environment does not mean that every home is wrong. It means the decision has to be clear, and careful sounds like this payment works, this location works, the condition concerns are manageable, this home fits the life I'm trying to build. Stuck sounds different. It sounds like maybe something better will happen. Maybe rates will drop soon. Maybe the perfect home is just around the corner. Maybe I should keep looking just in case. That phrase, just in case, can quietly cost buyers good opportunities. Online home shopping can make this worse. After a while, buyers stop comparing real homes to real homes, and they start comparing every home to a perfect vision that doesn't exist. One home has the right kitchen, but the wrong location. Another has the kitchen, but not the yard. Another has the yard, but higher taxes. Another has the updates, but stretches the payment. And pretty soon, every home feels like a compromise. But here's the truth. Every home is a compromise, even the good ones. The goal is not to find a home with no trade-off. The goal is to find a home with the right trade-offs, and that is the difference. A bad trade-off is stretching your budget to a point that makes you uncomfortable. A normal trade-off might be changing the paint, updating light fixtures, or living with a kitchen that is functional, but maybe not is new. Those are very different things. A real red flag should make you pause. A normal compromise should make you think. And that's where a lot of buyers get tangled up. They treat cosmetic issues like red flags, and sometimes they treat real budget concerns like something they can figure out later. That's backwards. You don't want to be casual about payment. You also don't want to reject a good home because the dining room paint color isn't your favorite. This is especially important locally. National headlines say buyers may have more options, but local markets don't always feel the same way. Right here in the Chicago, Naperville, Elgin Metro, Realtor.com's May data showed that active listings and new listings were both down year over year, while the median list price was up. So if you're buying a DuPage and waiting for a flood of perfect options, that may not be a good strategy. It may just be hope. And that's one of the best questions a buyer can ask right now. What am I actually waiting for? What are you waiting for? Are you waiting because the payment doesn't work? Then that's valid. Are you waiting because the home has a serious condition? That's a valid concern too. Are you waiting because you're hoping that a nearly identical home appears next week for less money, lower taxes, better updates, and lower interest rate? That may be a sign that the standard has become a little unrealistic. The perfect home is easy to imagine. The right home is easier to miss. Because the right home may not feel perfect the first time you see it. It may feel practical, it might be close, it might be 85% of what you need. And sometimes that's not settling, that's just buying wisely. A home with an older kitchen is not automatically a bad move. A home with a dated carpet is not automatically a bad move. A home that needs paint is not automatically a bad home. The better question is, can this be improved over time, and does the price reflect that? Now that question is more useful than asking whether or not the home is perfect. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that buyers should settle. There are homes you should absolutely walk away from. There are payments that don't make sense. There are inspection concerns that deserve serious attention. There are locations, layouts, and ownership costs that may not fit your life. Walking away from the wrong home is not a mistake. But walking away from every home because none of them are flawless, that can easily become one. Waiting feels safe because you're not making a decision. But not deciding is still a decision. If a home fits your budget, if it fits your life, and it fits manageable trade-offs, waiting can mean another buyer gets it. Or it could mean the similar home costs more. Or it could mean you spend 3 more months shopping only to realize the home you pass on was actually the one with better options. That does happen. So the question is not, is the home perfect? The question is, can I move forward with confidence? Confidence doesn't mean certainty. No buyer has complete certainty. Confidence means you understand the payment, you understand the condition, you understand the trade-offs, and you're not ignoring something important. That's a much healthier way to buy. This is also why waiting for every seller to cut their price may not work. Realtor.com reported that national list prices were down year over year in May, but the share of listings with price cuts were also down year over year. This suggests that some sellers are pricing more realistically from the start. So a buyer who waits for the price cut may miss the better positioned home early. The best buyer strategy right now is to not panic. It's preparation. Before you tour homes, know your complete payment. Before you fall in love with the photos, understand the taxes and the monthly costs. Before you reject a home, ask if the issue is permanent, expensive, or simply cosmetic. That keeps you from rushing. It also keeps you from freezing. This is the line I would remember. The right home usually has trade-offs. The wrong home has warnings. And it's your job as a buyer to know the difference. Because at DuPage, especially in towns where inventory is tight, the best opportunities may not sit around waiting for every detail to feel perfect. So if you're buying right here in DuPage or the surrounding area, the goal is to not rush into the home. The goal is to make a clear decision. Is this a red flag or is this a normal compromise? Is the home wrong for you or is it a good home that just doesn't look perfect on paper? Those are different questions. And getting those questions right can make the buying process a lot less stressful. If you're trying to buy and you're not sure whether a home is worth pursuing or passing on, I would love the opportunity to talk you through it. Not with pressure, not with a sales pitch, just with a clear look at the home, the payment, the trade-offs, and what else is available. I'm John McLean with John Green Realtor. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care, friends.